This episode is brought to you by Buy My Stuff on eBay. Yes, you too can buy my stuff from eBay. Simply search for the seller, Tin Dog Podcast, and you can own some rare and collectible items. From the same people who brought you Buy My Books on Amazon. Check the show notes for a direct link.
Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to another Tin Dog Podcast, talking about Disney Who. Sorry, that's sarcastic. Doctor Who on the BBC with Disney money. Oh look, Ruby's back. Woohoo! Yeah. This episode, although it's called Lucky Day, is the fourth episode of Series 2 of Ncuti's Time. And it should also be called Adventures in Podcasting. Now, every single podcaster out there, and let's face it, you're probably not just listening to me, are you? You'll be listening to Radio Free Scar, the Doctor Who podcast, a bit of Verity, probably the Staggering Stories, and a host of others whose name I probably don't even know, who are probably members of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. They'll all be fixating on the one thing. All of us. Because we're feeling seen. Podcasts bad. It's the big takeaway from the episode. Podcasters, oh, beware of the podcasters. Yeah, they've got opinions. So, you have to remember that the Doctor Who universe is, although, like most sci-fi, a bit of a metaphor for what's going on in the real world, it's also, and this is very important, the opposite of our world. People have just accepted, for the most part, the existence of aliens, and then, rather surprisingly, just got on about their everyday life because it doesn't really matter. There is a Star Trek episode which is basically the Roswell story, but the other way around, where the humans land on a planet and there's a conspiracy theory, and what you have to do in the future is go out and tell sci-fi stories so that everyone's ready for when first contact actually happens. But in the Doctor Who universe, people are aware of the Yetis in the underground, apparently, and all of that other stuff that's going on. And they're not just, paranoid, because they're just getting on with their natural lives, because that's the bit of the universe that looks like ours. So the idea of a conspiracy theory where the aliens aren't real, as opposed to our world where the conspiracy theories are that they are real, both with the same outcome of keep them scared because a scared population is an easy to control population, kind of results in exactly the same outcome. A scared population. Because we're either paranoid, and in our universe, thinking there's aliens out there but the government's keeping it from us, or there are no aliens out there and the government's keeping it from us. Same outcome. Same level of paranoia. When you're playing Call of Cthulhu, there is one particular psychosis on the psychosis table that always intrigued me. And it's one where you absolutely refuse to believe in any of the monsters that you see. You always see people as men in rubber suits. Now, the problem with Doctor Who is that they have always been men in rubber suits. So going, well, that's just a man in a rubber suit, makes you, as an audience member, go, yeah, you're right, it is. So, it's the Dr. Light episode. The big question is, why? Now, it's probably been put in there, and is my suggestion rather than anything that I'm aware of, that it was Dr. Light as a precaution, just in case things went horribly wrong in the production side. They would have some sort of redundancy of time. Does that make sense? I mean, let's face it, there's always been Doctor Who light stories, even getting back to Hartnell's time, where the main cast would be on holiday. But you've got Doctor appearing at various points in their own timeline. You've got the Doctor with Belinda appearing now, managing to get back to Earth sort of in 2007, when Tennant was in charge, and when, well, let's face it, Torchwood was at its height, and we'll get back to Torchwood in a minute. But then you've got the Doctor handing over a certain shiny object, something that becomes a pendant around the guy's neck. The significance of this is absolutely ignored when it comes to the narrative. Pausing the TV, zooming in, you think it's a £2 coin, then you think it's the back of a watch, you don't really know what's going on, and it becomes pointless. Now, the reason that I'm fixating on this is because at the very end, when Mrs. Badgerman turns up and takes him away, and let's face it, she's got, what, a bag of keys? Yeah, the argument that she's, the keys to time, resetting the universe, she's the White Guardian or the Guardian of Order rather than Chaos, is lending more and more credence to that. And that's just, backdating but to a Tom Baker story Tom Baker season that we had a long time ago. More Tom Baker fan service. And of course the main narrative is based around Ruby. I was never a gigantic fan of Ruby. Her family were great. All of them, including the new mum. But it just, I don't know. So, there's also a recurring theory of the bad boyfriend. We had the one in the robot story, and we had the one here. And yeah, bad boyfriends. Can you show me on the social media where the podcast where the bad boyfriend hurt you? Because that's what I'm getting. I'm getting boyfriends are bad. Stick with the Doctor. The Doctor knows best. As a recurring theme. But of course, Conrad is the villain. And not, as my daughter suggested, strange mustache bloke who was hanging around with the brig. Yeah, we'll get back to that as well. For the first, let's put this episode into a half, because there's the turnaround halfway through. It's not a twist, it's where the narrative takes a turn. So, right up to the turnaround point, where lots of things happen which are unlikely, you get a build-up of the romance story, let's call it that. And the romance story just made you go, are we watching Doctor Who? Or just some dodgy spin-off? Because the Doctor was in it at the beginning, and that was fine, and the Doctor's in it at the end, and that's fine, but this is Doctor Who and not the adventures of companions. That's the realm of Big Finish, and let's face it, they do it better. So, you've got the internet nutter block. No, you've got the relationship. Let's stick with this, narratively speaking, and in chronological order. Oh, they meet. Yes, he met the Doctor as a child, which is, like Elton in Love and Monsters. Love and Monsters, great. And he does indeed fixate on the Doctor. Yep, that's absolutely fine. After meeting him for like 30 seconds. And I know we've fixated on the Doctor. Pot, kettle, black. And it's become a major part of our lives, same as him. But is he a conspiracy theorist without telling anyone? His podcast apparently called Lucky Day, What would that would sound like it was going to be some sort of betting podcast? Come up with a better name. Perhaps it's one of those, it could have been, this episode was probably going to be called Placeholder. Now he's an actual podcaster, he's not a YouTuber, which is interesting because the negative context of this world seems to be coming primarily from YouTube and the more visual of the social medias. As I said last time, if you want to cause a revolution, you use radio. If you want to stop one, you use visual media like television. Controlling the masses through their eyes is what is soup of the day, shall we say. So the monster isn't the Shreek. Now, I did spend the first few minutes falling for the overall narrative, thinking that we've got something going on with the relationship and, oh no, he didn't take the medicine in order to stop the monster from getting him. But where did Ruby get the extra medicine from? We'll get back to you on that one. And Unit have got the Shreek cornered in a room. Did you not think, while you were watching it, and you were spoiler-free, that you were watching, oh no, the Shriek's actually going to be the good guy monster, and they're going to learn it's the monsters that we met along the way, kind of a thing, where, you know what I mean, the Shreek would have like a mate, and the mate would be calling for them across dimensions. Like it's basically dimensional Shambler. More Lovecraftian fun. There's some brilliant things going on where you've got Neil Gaughton showing him the actual monster, and then there's the rubber monsters turning up, rather than just as would have been the old-fashioned way where you've just got two costumes and you make them. You knew something was going to go wrong during the only, and I need to say this, really, really well-filmed moment. It's the bit where he's telling the story and the monsters are in the background and that's it. Now, here's the thing. There's a narrative agreement where if a plan or an event is shown on screen, that's not what's going to happen. You never see the same thing twice because that is dull. So if someone is, say, planning a bank job, not a bike job, that would be weird. Somebody's going to rob a bike. No. Someone's going to steal money from a bank. And you see the breakdown of how it's going to go. If you see it, you know that the bank robbery is going to go horribly wrong and the robbery is going to go in a different direction. So here you see the monsters in the background, darkness falls, all in one lovely shot. And then you see it go back up to the normal room. So you know from an audience point of view, if you know the rule, and let's face it, you do know the rules because you've seen enough TV, you know this is going to go horribly wrong. You know there's something off. So that's beside the point. Were we deliberately bored by the romance? Was the flickering road sign a sign? The sparky hat thing, a nice touch. And then, of course, we can be there in half an hour. Here's your cup of coffee, ma'am. And, in-house romance, is that a bad thing at Unit? I would say so. That is actual, pardon the pun, actual Unit dating on the screen in front of us. No one spotted that one, did they? Yeah. So, the aliens are real in this universe, and we've got callbacks to things like 73 Yards because it's, a standalone story, and this time it isn't. It's still the same companion having the standalone story. If this had been on TV years ago during the David Tennant era, this would not, by any stretch of the imagination, been a Unit story. This would have been Torchwood, and it would have made more sense because Torchwood are into covering things up. Torchwood are the people who are morally dubious. Let's face it, they would have got halfway through and gone, sod it, let's just release the monster straight off and kill him. There wouldn't have been that much messing about. It actually might have been a shorter story. If this had been a Big Finish story with almost exactly the same background and setup and everything, it would have been classic. It would have been brilliant. It would have been one of those audios where you go, you know what, I really enjoyed that. So perhaps I've just got different standards for TV? I don't know, because I can imagine it being really good, possibly with a Torchwood cast. I can imagine Yvonne Harkness just going, oh yes, of course, yes, we're all in it together, we're all in the pay of Big Pharmacy trying to cover up everything because there are no aliens and you're fine. It would have been brilliant coming from Yvonne. Not so good coming from the new Brigadier. I don't know. I just still don't buy her performance. And you know what? I kind of got it. As soon as she mentioned the brig, it was like the bit of the Oscars. Get that man's name out of your mouth kind of thing. We just felt very, very protective, which was great. Let's have a look at my notes. Oh yeah, the Flinks. Why is the Flinks back? Please just get rid of him. He looks terrible. He looks terrible in the past in white. He now looks terrible painted black. He's just rubbish. God bless Nick Briggs. He's got a recurring character part, and you know what? They could have given him something better. The Flinks is just not great. We love Nick. We love his work. We love everything. But the Flinks itself, no thank you. I was pleased when he got blown away by, Sutek's magic dust. I'm just surprised he came back. And then we've got Trinity Wells, who, let's face it, it's coming across more of one of those random ranting YouTubers who disguise their desk as news because they've got a massive green screen behind them. So do you think that Trinity was actually sacked or is actually working for Fox News? We can get back to you on that one. Here's the important parts of the takeaway. I deny your reality. Now, as there's an episode called The Reality War at the end of the series, do you not think that and the coin round his neck and the fact that the governor releases him is probably going to play into that end thing? So we haven't seen the last of him here. The Doctor's lovely rant at the end was indeed lovely, so that is a bonus. So let's just say it was alright. If you look at it too hard, you start going, how did 17,000 viewers just tune in instantly with all of that heart thing going up on which social media apps are there, and broadcasting to the nation and having him killed? And remember, Doctor Who has to be watchable by a 6-year-old and a 60-year-old, so you can't just have the monster tearing him apart. So I get all of that. And here's the thing. Might the Brigadier be in trouble with Geneva for broadcasting to the world? Or does everyone instantly start believing everything? Or will they always, as is the case, you can't convince anybody of anything on the internet. They just have things reinforced. If someone thinks the world is flat and then sees a documentary saying how the world is flat, they just go, yeah, I've had my world not shaken, just reinforced. Sorry, I'm stammering today. I do apologise. So, that is what the internet does. It just takes ideas you've already got and reinforces them. You click on links that are either positive because you've got a positive opinion, or negative because you've got a negative opinion, or you click on negative things because you've got a positive opinion and you want to be proved right and superior. All of these things are not healthy. The internet is not what it once was. Was it ever what it once was? The music in this story does do all of the emotional heavy lifting because there seems to be just gaps in the narrative. But that's because we've got 40-odd minutes. Right, I'm going to go now and try and upload this so I can share it with you as soon as possible. Until next time, when we're probably going to be talking about Doctor Who. Be seeing you. That was the Tin Dog Podcast. All topics discussed are the intellectual property of the copyright owners. No infringement is intended. Why not follow the show on Blue Sky at tindogpodcast.bsky.social. If you've enjoyed this podcast on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.